Whoop.
Hey everybody, welcome to a live stream episode of the Flyera podcast, our 51st episode. We have an awesome show for you tonight. We've got a lot of questions lined up for our special guest tonight, your home of the Philadelphia Flyers play-by-play guy from NBC Sports Philadelphia, Jim Jackson. So everyone, sit back, relax, and get ready. Another installment of Flyera starts right now. Welcome to another installment, and this is a big one, everyone. As always, we are joined by some of our awesome, gracious co-hosts. We got a good show for you tonight. We're going to be interviewing the play-by-play guy of the Philadelphia Flyers, as mentioned, Jim Jackson. Jim, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Doing awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on tonight. We look forward to having you. This is going to be an awesome episode. We're excited to talk Flyers hockey. We're less than a month away, guys. This is going to be awesome. And not to be ignored, we also have my two awesome co-hosts tonight, starting with the man below me. You know him, you love him, Eric Martino. Eric, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing great. A good time having JJ on the show. It's going to be a good one.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And then one of our favorite guests from the O&B Puck, at O&B Puck on Twitter, Isaiah. Isaiah, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing great. And it's going to be great to talk to JJ. And we're going to have some hockey later this week. So it's a good time of year right now.
Absolutely. So, JJ, let's get right into it. We're looking forward to having you on tonight. So let me break the ice with a little personal question. What specifically made you get into broadcasting?
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever had anybody ask me that first. I grew up like most kids. I wanted to play sports. So I played youth hockey. I didn't play any organized youth hockey. I actually played just up the street hockey at a rink back in the days when you could have a rink the whole winter long. And but I played mini basketball, was called, where I grew up, Little League, Pop Warner football. And I'll give myself a little credit here. I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't going to make it to any kind of major level with my athletic ability. So I, pretty early age, my father, I think, was the first to tell me, like, when we're watching sports, it's all you do is talk. Why don't you get into broadcasting? So I thought about it. I grew up in upstate New York in Utica, which isn't too far from Syracuse. So my goal was from that point on to get to Syracuse because it's such a great broadcast school, get my grades up, and I did. I got into Syracuse. And once I went to Syracuse, the competition there is so intense. I wanted to become king of the sports world at that point. So it drove me. And then I went back to Utica, did 6 years of minor league hockey, and was fortunate enough to get the job down here and set to begin my 33rd year.
33 years.
Yeah, I have to say that 2 or 3 times.
That's incredible. Honestly, I remember. So you've been doing this about as long as I've been on this earth, because I'm 34 years old. So the moment I started becoming a Flyers fan, I started being bestowed by your incredible broadcasting. So it's been an awesome run over those years. Do you have was the Flyers the team you wanted to go with personally, or did it just end up going that way?
No, in fact, I would have taken any of the 4 major sports. The soccer wasn't as big back then, so it was basketball, football, baseball, hockey. I loved all 4 sports. It was kind of equally. It wasn't like I targeted hockey. Hockey kind of found me. But growing up, I hated the Flyers. I was upstate New York. I was a Rangers fan, and my father used to love Eddie Jacobin, and Gary Dornhofer used to always be in his crease. And my father hated Bobby Clark because he said he's one of the cheapest players around, and he hated Dave Schultz because he beat up Dale Rolfe, and he hated all these guys. Bernie Parent because he just kept stopping the puck, and then as luck would have it, I get the Flyers job. My father had passed away when I was only 24, but when I got the job, I had to kind of look up and go, "You got to go where the bread's buttered, Dad." So I came down here, but obviously here about 33 years, I'm fully entrenched in the orange and black now. So there's not any Ranger hangover or anything like that. There wasn't. Actually, I worked in the minors for the Devils for 6 years. So my Ranger fandom left me pretty early, and then I was with the Devils, and then once I got the Flyers job, it was all Philadelphia. So, but it's kind of funny because I came down here and Gary Dornhofer was my broadcast partner, Bobby Clark was my boss, Orest Kinderchuk did my insurance, Dave Schultz ran the limo company that we drive around to local games for. All those people that my father and I used to now in my life and a big part of their life. So it's funny how life works, actually.
That's wow. I did not expect that. What an incredible turn of events that ended up being. It's crazy how life works that way sometimes. I actually, funny enough, live in Massachusetts, so I'm surrounded by Bruins fans. And I loved watching Eric Lindros and John LeClair as a kid, and the team kind of just grew on to me from there, getting attached to Simone Gagne, Peter Forsberg, Eric Desjardins, going on with the names. So it's sometimes you just find crazy routes to end up meeting with the teams that you like. And that honestly, that's a really awesome story, just how it kind of went full circle like that.
Yeah, well, it's a lot more now where you have people who root for teams not in their market because you can see games from other teams. When I grew up, obviously, if I've been here 30 years, I'm a young man. I've been around a long time, and when I grew up, you could basically only see the teams in your market, including on television. Mm-hmm. So you basically rooted for the teams that were in your market, or you probably didn't root for anybody, except for football. Football is different because it's once a week and you can see all the teams. But all the other sports, you weren't going to see your team if you rooted for. If I was a Flyers fan in upstate New York, I was never going to see the Flyers play except for when they played the Rangers or the Sabres, teams in my television market. So, but now with the internet and with the packages and all, you can see whatever team you really want. I think we have more people growing up in Philadelphia that are fans of teams elsewhere, and fans in Chicago that are fans of Philadelphia teams. I mean, it's just the way it's changing due to technology.
Really is crazy. Eric, why don't you continue?
Well, I just touch upon just what Gigi was saying right now. Like for myself too, like growing up as a Flyers fan, like I live in Montreal, so I remember back in the day when I started following, I was the only way I could follow the Flyers was like in the newspapers. Like I would wake up early in the morning, go to school because our library would have either the Hockey News, which I think was weekly by then, or just like the Montreal Gazette in the morning. So I'd go there, take out the sports section, and just like see what the Flyers did last night. And if it was like a West Coast game, like I'd have to wait till like the afternoon or even the next day to see the Flyers win. The Flyers win.
The late edition of the newspaper,
it was really something back in the day. It was, but anyway, no, just a while ago, I was listening to a podcast that you were on. Honestly, I can't remember. I would love to call it out, but I can't remember which one it was. And you had mentioned that you were in Europe for the summer, and you were going to, I think it was Greece and Rome. And I was actually in Rome this summer also. I think more or less time you were there. And I remember when I was in Rome, I was wearing my Flyers t-shirt and my cap just in case. Just in case I see JJ. Like I want to make myself seen. But no, I was just wondering how did the trip go?
So were you there when it was roasting, steaming hot?
I was there in August. I was in Italy for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was there in middle 2 weeks of August, so we probably were there together. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was a cruise, so you would have been I was on the move a lot. We did spend a couple days in Rome, but everything else was just in and out as we hit like 10 different ports. But we started in Rome and then went to Greece, came through the Greek islands, back down around Malta, and then back up the western coast of Italy. It was just absolutely spectacular, but hot. It was 97 degrees. When you were by the water, it was fine, but when you were in the villages, in the cities, the walk around Rome, for instance, when we go to the Colosseum and the Vatican and all that. It was so hot that I've lost 22 pounds since the end of last season.
Wow.
I did. I have a diet that it's just fruits and vegetables pretty much for 2-week stretches. You then take a week where you just eat healthy, but get some protein and then go back to it. It works like clockwork. But I figured I was going to put maybe as much as 10 on during the cruise, but it was so hot and we did so much walking. I didn't gain much weight at all because we were sweating and walking and everything so much. But it's just amazing. It's a different world. The architecture is so different. It's beautiful. The water, obviously, around the Greek islands and around Italy is great. And the people are very friendly. Not maybe as friendly toward Americans these days as they used to be, but still, you get the feeling that we are their life. Tourists, at least, not just Americans, tourists from all over the world are their lifeblood. So they treat you well, and the food tremendous, of course, both in Greece and Italy. And cruising was great. Being on a cruise, the entertainment is spectacular. I was recognized, though. We didn't bump into each other, but I was recognized 8 times. I was shocked. I mean, I'm half a world away. How do these people know who I am? And a couple were local that were on the ship. That's understandable. But I actually got recognized by people on land in Greece and Italy and Malta. And I'm like, wow. I mean, so Flyers Nation, folks, it's got a wide swath of the world, evidently.
Flyers Nation does it strong.
That's really cool.
Now we're everywhere.
Of course, 7 of the 8 of them asked me what's wrong with the team, but
They couldn't even let you enjoy the vacation without trying to get a rant.
No, they were all really friendly, and a couple of them actually saw me a couple times ahead of time and didn't even say anything because they didn't want to bother me. And then they eventually, because you see people on ship, obviously you're on the ship for 12 days, you tend to see people more than once, so they eventually came up to me, and then we would talk hockey. But it was I'm not one of these people. I can't talk hockey when I'm on vacation or anything like that. I love talking hockey. So, but it was refreshing to know that there are actually Flyer fans, everywhere, all over the world, and it also means that I probably have to stay out of trouble because people are going to see me. I can't get drunk in public or anything like that. Even on the ship where we had the drinks package, I could have had as many drinks as I wanted. But you don't want to be acting untoward, and then it ends up somebody's got it on their phone, and it ends up on
true.
Media. So, but I said that jokingly to my wife. It was just my wife and I on the trip, but I said, I'm going to actually be able to let loose here on this trip. I don't have to worry about being recognized. And wouldn't you know, like later that day, I was recognized, and then several other times. It was it was interesting. I did not expect that.
Had to go to the bartender and say, all right, maybe the tab won't get as high as we first thought.
Well, there was no tab. We had the drinks package. So.
That's even better.
Those are dangerous. You drink as much as you want.
It's the equivalent of an open bar at a wedding.
Exactly.
Isaiah, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm always fascinated about the interplay between the play-by-play man and his analyst. And the first guy you worked with, JJ, was Dorney. Is that right?
On TV, I worked with Steve Coates first.
Okay.
2 years on radio with Coatesy, which was just a trip. And then Dorney was my first on television, yeah. And then Coatesy joined us about 5 years later. We were a threesome until just after the lockout in 2005. And then Keith Jones came in. Bill Clement would replace Jonesy when he couldn't do games. So I was working with Jonesy and Bill Clement. That was pretty darn good. And of course, Jonesy graduated to the presidency 3 years ago, and Brian Boucher came in, and Scott Hartnell also fills in for him. But I've been blessed with just absolutely great broadcast partners. I mean, Coatesy is Coatesy. That's all I have to say.
Coatesy a gem.
And Dorney was, if I was ever in a trench in a war, that's who I'd want next to me. He was solid as a rock, and took a rookie television broadcaster under his wing and really helped me. And then Jonesy I worked with for 17 years, and just one of the funniest people around. And never tension or pressure when Jonesy's around. It's always fun and games. And then Bill Clement, I mean, the wordsmith and in the Hall of Fame as a broadcaster. And now Bush, who I think is just as good as it gets, and Scotty Hartnell, who's also so much fun to work with. So I've been blessed with the capital B. I do have one other with the Flyers in the booth broadcast partner. He's now the head coach of the team. I did a playoff game with Rick Tocchet. Rick Tocchet had to fill in because Jonesy had to do NBC, and Bill Clement, I think, had a speaking engagement or something he had already committed himself to. So we had, at the time, Toc was doing the pre and post game stuff. So he came up and did the game, and he did a great job. It was a playoff game too, and he did a great job. So looking forward to working with Toc in a different way. What's that?
That was with the TNT crew, correct?
No, that was local TV because he was doing pre and post with the locals between coaching gigs, and he was filling in because we didn't have anybody else. We lost our two main people, so he did one game and did a great job, and we always joke about it. But I'm really looking forward to working with him in a different way this year. I think he's going to do a great job as the coach.
Agreed. So,
I've got a question. Can I ask a question?
Go right ahead, Rick.
JJ, you worked with Gary Dornhofer. Did he ever tell you the time when Larry Robinson almost put him through the boards?
Oh, yeah. He said it was overrated, that it was just the way he hit the boards that made it sound really loud. No,
I agree with that.
He told me about it all the time.
I agree with that because he ended up playing. It looked like he was going to be dead, literally. But I just wondered if he ever told you that, because I'll never forget that hit. It looked, oh my God. He put a big hole, I believe, in the boards.
Yeah, it was a dent, I believe.
Yeah, big dent. Yeah,
but he'd talk about that. But he'd rather talk about the cups the Flyers won, not the one that they lost.
I prefer the other way around. But
yeah, I figured you did.
Sure you do.
It's quite interesting that Rick would bring that up, isn't it, guys?
Yeah. One last thing. You're a fellow upstate New Yorker. I was actually born in Poughkeepsie. My parents are from Montreal, but my dad was working there, and I was born in Dutchess County.
Yeah, you're as close to Canada as you can get there, though, right?
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah.
All right, so let's transition into a couple in-season hockey questions coming up. So,
even though we're not in season, let's do it.
Well, soon to be in season. Yes, that's a good point.
We're sort of in season.
Let's transport ourselves into the season.
Yeah. Yes, I know. We could not get here soon enough. So we got the rookie game coming up this weekend. Is there anything you're excited to watch? Any particular rookies that you want to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really into the prospects the Flyers have. So there's so many of them. But the number one is the guy who I think will have the biggest impact this year, and I think that's Alex Bump. I kind of laugh at some of these prospect rankings that come out from people. Especially the guys who are really into it. I'm not going to name them by names, but it's so obvious when a guy they didn't have ranked when the draft happened that this guy, and Alex Bump was a 5th round pick, right? But they don't rank. This one guy had Bump like is their 9th or 10th prospect. What has he been watching the last year or two? Bump was one of the best players in college. He absolutely held his own in the AHL. I know the last couple of games it might not have been getting used much, or there were some things going on there, but he held his own. And then at development camp, he was a man with boys. He's got a big body. In the description, this one guy said, with his small frame, I'm like, he's 6'2". There's no small frame there. He does everything that is asked of him from a coaching standpoint, from a preparation standpoint, from a workout standpoint. From if they tell him to improve on something, he improves on it. I think he's going to be a surprise to a lot of people nationally this year as one of the top rookies in the league. I could be overselling him. He might need time in the AHL. It's possible. We've seen this before where guys are great in development camp and then they come to the regular camp and they don't play well at all. But they're not necessarily guys who won a national championship at the college level and have been the leader of the team that won the national championship. So I'm really looking forward to seeing maybe not even as much in this rookie game as what he does in the regular camp. If he has a good camp, he's making the team, I think. And I think he's another in a long line now of talented wingers the Flyers have. The Flyers, They definitely need some help up the middle, but on the flanks, I'll put the Flyers up there with a lot of teams. They can go 3 lines deep with some really quality wingers, especially if Bump comes through, and I think he will. So, but I mean, Nesbitt, I want to see how he does. Obviously, he's not a finished product yet, but I really like what I saw of him in development camp. Oliver Bonk's a guy we really want to watch and see if the pace, if he's matching the pace that people talk about. That's the one thing he has to work on. Obviously, a lot of the college guys aren't here, no Martone and things like that, but there's still so many guys to watch. Jet Luchenko, I think is, I mean, last year he made the team because he deserved to make the team. He was that good in camp. And he's another guy that, when I read these prospect rankings, nobody had him going as high as he went to the Flyers. So they refused to rank him as a prospect that could really be a top prospect. From what I saw last year, his hockey IQ is off the charts. His skating is off the chart. The only thing he doesn't do enough is shoot the puck. You can teach that pretty easily. But even if he doesn't become a sniper, he's going to be somebody who can play with a guy who can snipe, like a Tyson Forster or Matvei Michkov or something like that. So, and he is so sound, 200-foot game-wise. I think he's going to be great. Looking forward to seeing him too, especially since he couldn't play in development camp because he was injured. So, and Hunter McDonald, and go on and on. Gill, I'm forgetting another forward I want to see. I don't have the list in front of me, but I mean, there's just a lot. It's not one guy. That's what's really good about this, even though 4 or 5 of their top prospects aren't going to be here because they're playing collegiate hockey. We still have like 5 or 6 guys we really want to see. That's when you know you're starting to put the pipeline together.
Well said. Well said. I love the in-depth breakdown. Alex Bump has been someone we have raved about on this show. What an absolute steal, Jim in the rough of the Flyers. We have a fan question for you. Just want to see if this is okay to ask. Mr. Twizzler is asking, do you know why they don't televise the carnival anymore?
Yeah, I don't know why. I would assume it's a matter of resources because it takes a lot to put that broadcast on. We used to have 8 or 9 of us on the air, plus that means 8 or 9 tech managers with all those people. That means 8 or 9 audio people with all those people, all those cameramen. It was a tremendous undertaking. And usually there's, the Sixers are playing then, so that it's not like you can devote everything to it. So I guess that's what it was. We used to have a blast with those broadcasts. It was not easy. It was flying by the seat of your pants. I mean, Brian Cooper, my producer for a quarter century, put that all together. It was unbelievable the job he did. But even as much as he's as organized as anybody could get, we'd have some unbelievable faux pas. Coach C's mic would be open, and who knows what he'd be talking about. And then there was one time Tim Saunders was talking to one of the wives about the charity, and in his ear they said it to Lauren with the clowns. Lauren Hart was with some of the clowns that they were, and then I think they changed it and said no, send it to somebody with the Stanley Cup. But he didn't hear the change, so Timmy goes, all right, and let's check in with the clowns. And there's this close-up out of the 2 guys holding the Stanley Cup. And the guys with the white gloves that carry it all over the place. And so people are like, are they clowns? So, I mean, we had a lot of things like that. But we did have fun with that event, and it was 2 hours, and it was 2 hours where you're just going for 2 hours, one reporter to the next reporter, all over the place. But about, I guess, maybe the pandemic, I think that's when it stopped being broadcast, and one of those casualties of the pandemic because they haven't put it back on.
That is unfortunate, but hey, listen, it's always great to get the quality shows while you had them, right?
Yeah, it's still a great event. We still go. I still participate. I'm just not on the air, but I do a lot of interviews in-house and Arena Vision and so forth. Always great because you get to mix and mingle with the fans and watch the players in their element and having fun for a great cause. There's nothing better than that.
Agreed. So to go a little more in the roster, so obviously we had a bit of a injury scare this offseason with Tyson Forster. Danny Briere had his, midsummer conference, stating he was going through an elbow infection that he sustained in the Worlds. Do you have any possible update with him right now?
Well, we had a golf tournament yesterday, and he looks great. And he can hit the ball about 320 yards. So hopefully that's a sign his elbow is good.
Good sign.
I mean, all I got.
That's a good
talked to
sign.
him briefly and said, "You feeling okay?" And he said, "I'm great." So I think he's good to go. I mean, obviously, golfing is different than hockey. But from what I could tell, I mean, it didn't look like there was any bandaging or anything like that. I mean, it looks like he's in good shape. But we'll find out. There's a briefing tomorrow. Dan Hilferty and Keith Jones are doing a state of the team press conference tomorrow. So I think we'll find out a little bit more then. And we'll obviously find out more when Danny addresses the media. But I think he's going to be good to go. He looks good to go. I hope so. I've been a huge Tyson Forster fan for a long time. And I just think he is developing beyond even my expectation. I expected him to be a guy who could score 30 goals, but I did not realize he was going to have this well-rounded game that he has. He's just a great two-way player who can finish. If he's able to add even a little bit of a physical side to his game, and that may not happen. Sometimes you can't change somebody's, DNA or his personality or whatever. But if he does get and I'm not talking about fighting, I'm talking about just being a little more physical because he does have a big frame. He could be a dominant player, and as it is, he's going to be a very good player. So it would be a huge loss if he isn't ready. Hopefully he is.
Well, that's encouraging news for sure. And it really is something. He does play a great two-way game where he's a 210-pound guy, so he's one of the bigger wingers for sure. So if he could really adapt that physical style of play, as you just mentioned, that would really elevate his game more. He doesn't have much of a playmaking style to his game, but it's not really needed as long as his linemen can pick him up for sure. He's got a fantastic shot.
No, he's got a great shot, and he also is as good along the wall as any player on the team. He is not. You may not think he's a playmaker, but he sees the ice extremely well, and has back checking capabilities. His ability to take pucks away, to knock pucks down, is elite. So, is he a deft passer? Maybe not, but everything else about his game is strong. And he and Cates and Brink were so strong. I'll be very interested to see if Rick Tocchet breaks them up to spread things around. But I mean, I don't know if you would really do that, because if they stay together, that means Brink's part of the top 9. And that means you just have to find room for Bump if he takes off, and Zegras, and figure out where he's playing and mix it around. But if that line stays together, you have a lot of depth in your top 9. And then, you can play whoever on the fourth line, Hathaway and whoever. Because Dvorak could play higher up too. So really a lot of it depends on whether Zegras is going to play center.
Yeah,
and whether Luchenko is going to stay with the team. Those are the two big ifs. If they're both, obviously, if both of those are yes, somebody's moving to the wing. It might be Dvorak. We'll see. Obviously, we're still waiting, but it's kind of looking like it's going to be either here or back to junior for Luchenko. There's still a slight possibility, I guess, that they might put that one exception rule in this year. I had 1 year ahead of the CBA and would allow him to play in the AHL. But I can tell you right now, the Luchenko I saw in camp last year, not necessarily the Luchenko I saw once the game started, but the Luchenko I saw in camp last year is probably good enough to play in the NHL. Will he be able to handle a full season? Remember, he just turned 19. He's a young player. And so where he fits, we shall see. But Zegras, if he ends up on the wing, Dvorak could move up and play in the top 9 at center somewhere. We just don't know. There's a lot of ifs. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all shakes out.
Agreed. Eric, do you have anything to add?
Wait, I'd like to just hit on Luchenko for a little bit more, because honestly, it's a real shame that they couldn't bring in this rule for this upcoming season, because you look at what Luchenko did last year, especially in the playoffs with the Phantoms. He looked really good. He was making plays, and it's just a shame that now he has to go back to to like juniors. That's his only option, really. So I was
Well,
thinking, like,
he may make the team. That's the other
oh
option.
yeah, no, yeah. But I mean, other than like, if like he really
Yeah.
shows like not that he shows nothing, but like if the Flyers think he's not ready, but
Right.
the
And
way
I don't think it's official yet. There's still a slight chance. I think that they may implement it this year. For like about a week ago, I would have told you there was a 50-50 chance, but it seems as though the time's kind of wasting away on it. But we'll see. There'll be some announcement somewhere along the line, and if that's not one of the options, he's going to have a very good camp to stick, knowing he can't go back. Going back to junior would be his only other option. I don't know how much more he's going to get out of that. It's not a great team either. So, it's a bit of a dilemma. I really, though, watching him, I think he's going to make the team. We'll see. I mean, if he does make the team, there's all kinds of other questions. Does Zegras then become a winger? I don't. So we'll see. But it's a good problem to have if he does play really well, and you have to figure out where to put everybody. That's a good problem.
Yeah, because personally, I think he will make the team. I've said this before on our show. And I was just thinking if like, if you would know, like, would maybe like Danny Briere be open to like, I don't know if you remember, but like Leo Carlsson, like his first season with Anaheim, they basically he made the team, but like they like, I guess, load managed him in a way, like you won't play every single day, but like, I don't know if maybe something like that would interest the Flyers, because then like during the Christmas break,
how did that go, by the way?
I think it went well, because then the next season.
He got hurt.
Did he?
Yeah, his rookie year. Load management.
Honestly, I don't remember that. Okay.
Load management is a term I don't want to hear in the NHL. I think it's a farce in the NBA. And
I agree.
People are paying money for tickets to go see a guy play, and then because of load management, he's not playing. Yeah, that's not fair to people who buy tickets. I hope we don't get to that in the NHL. I did happen with Leo Carlsson. I would say it was not a rousing success. Leo last year did not have load management, and he was better. And I stayed relatively healthy, but his rookie year he got hurt. So I mean, how much did that help? Or we don't know whether it helped or hindered his development. But I mean, what you're saying is you could do that and keep everybody and play some guy at center, but that would mean somebody else would have to be in and out of the lineup, or at least in and out of being a center. That to me would be more disruptive than anything else. So humbly, I disagree with you on that. I just hope we don't get to load management in the NHL, because to be honest with you, to speak frankly, hockey would be more deserving, if for lack of a better term, of load management than basketball. I mean, look, give me a break. The NBA, it's stressful. Don't get me wrong. They're great athletes, spectacular, but you can't play every day. Basketball, go play a contact sport on skates, and go.
I want to talk about something that wears you down.
Yeah, I mean, football is once a week, but football and hockey are so tough on the body, and hockey's played 3 times a week, 4 times a week sometimes. So, I mean, I guess you'd be more prevalent to some kind of load management in hockey, but I hope they don't go there. It's just, to me, not fair to ticket holders. People buy tickets way out in advance. You're not going to know if a guy's playing or not. That's no fun. So I hope we don't go there. But if we do, I mean, I guess it opens things up where different guys can play on different days or whatever. But hockey's also a very much a continuity sport. So if you're taking one guy out of a lineup every 5 days, then you're screwing up at least one other line, and then maybe you have to move somebody from another line to that line, and then you're screwing up 2 or 3 lines. So your continuity isn't going to be there. I'm hoping they don't go that way.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it would tear away at the ethos of the game itself. It's a kind of sport where it's like a war out there, like kind of football, and then it's each guy has each other's back, and you have to have that mentality. And if guys are kind of like, well, I don't know if I can play, it's the commitment that the guys make is a lot of the reason teams go as far as they do. A lot of times, if the team maybe isn't as talented, but they have a greater commitment, and this would seem to wear away at that. And I think it's something that fans admire about hockey, and it comes out full bore in the playoffs.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any load management in the playoffs, I don't think. But I will say that I could see it like when Mario Lemieux came back from cancer, and maybe they had
Sure.
give
Yeah,
him
for sure.
I can see it in certain circumstances, but for Leo Carlson, who was 19 or 18 in his rookie year, I can't remember.
And he could have played in Sweden. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, I mean, for him to be getting load managed was like, really, seriously, a young buck like that's getting load managed. I mean, is it meant the mental part is just too much to play every day? I guess I'm too old school there. I'm sure the sports science somewhere along the line shows that if guys miss 1 out of every 5 games, they're going to play better those 4. That's why they go that route. But so you break up the continuity every 5th game, so the one guy can play a little bit better. Then that means you're going to load manage the other guys in different games, and it's just, I don't know. To me, it's about getting the same lineup, getting out there and doing the same stuff as much as you can. The injuries come along anyhow, so it's hard to keep the same lineup out there. Why kind of give yourself an injury by your decision to load manage people? So we'll see. Everything's on the table, Eric, but I wouldn't think that load management would be great for Jet Luchenko. I think you want to get him as many games as possible so that he learns as fast as possible.
This is why scream analytics are ruining sports to a degree, for sure.
They can, if you take them. I think there's benefits for sure to analytics. I spent yesterday on the golf course with a member of the analytics department, and he had some great points. And there's no question it can be helpful, but I think it does have to be taken within context. And so you use it for sure. No information is bad information. But if you don't take it within the context of what's going on, I think that's when it can be harmful rather than helpful.
Agreed. So I want to ask you, do you have an all-time favorite game that you've called since you've been doing this?
I'm asked that a lot. The kind of the stock answer is the 5 overtime game in Pittsburgh in 2000, because it's still the longest game in the modern history of the NHL. So to be part of that kind of history is very special, and I will always treasure it. And there's a gazillion stories from the game, but so that's one. The shootout win over the Rangers in 2010 was tremendous. I mean, how often do 2 top rivals go head to head in a winner take all final game of the season for the playoffs, and then a shootout, and then Bush beats the king of shootouts, Henrik Lundqvist, and then falls trying to imitate his celebration. But that's beside the point. But it was, that was just a great moment. And then, the completion of the comeback that year against Boston in the second round, those were 3 that really jump out. But JR's overtime goal in Toronto after Sammy Kapanen got belted by Darcy Tucker, and Sammy was trying to get back to the bench, and JR jumps over the boards, goes down and scores in overtime and sends the Flyers on to the conference finals. There's just so many. And to be honest with you, my greatest moment in broadcasting probably was when I was doing the Phillies, because I got to sit next to Harry Callis when he called the last out of the 08 World Series. And I'm sitting right there next to the icon, and, got to hug him seconds after, the Phillies won the World Series. And that's been riding on the truck with him in the parade 2 days later was just as much a thrill. So I've been blessed. I've been in broadcasting now 40 years, and I've had just so many great moments. It's always tough to pick out one game. But if I was pressed up against the wall, I would probably still stick with the 5 overtime game because of its place in history. And it was Flyers Penguins, and Primo's goal was great. It was not some kind of double deflection, is it in kind of thing. And so I would probably go with that, but I don't want to slight any of these other ones. And there's some I'm not even mentioning. So it's just been great.
There's one I personally remember. This one always gives me chills. I don't know if you remember this game. 2014, the Flyers were playing the Blackhawks, and this game went to overtime, and it was a Claude Giroux snipe in the final seconds. And you come out with the call with he's going to need a miracle. The shot, he snipes the top left corner, and you just scream.
Yeah, I think I said something like, can he deliver another miracle and miracle delivered?
Yeah,
that was pure
one always puts my hair up.
Well, when you do that, it's kind of one of those things. Why not? Because if he doesn't, no one remembers that I said, can he deliver another miracle? It's just fire it wide. We go to a shootout. That was a fun call and a great moment. And Claude Giroux gave me many. There was a behind the backhander to complete a huge
Columbus.
Yes, in 2014 as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he ate the puck for 30 seconds in that game in Boston in 2010. Little Claude Giroux, he's got all these guys. I think Chara was one of them. They're all over him trying to get the puck away from him, and they just couldn't get it as he's melting time off the clock. And obviously, I didn't get to call when he ran over Crosby in the playoffs. That was a national game, but another great moment by him. And there's so many. I mean,
what about that pass to Pronger? It was at the Cup in 2010. He made this pass to Pronger. Was it against the Blackhawks or something?
Yeah, it was against the Blackhawks. Pronger right before the end of regulation.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
and it won the game. He also had a shootout. I don't know if it was the one against the Rangers or not, where I called it. I go, he's got man have a million moves. Which one will he come up with here? And he went in and scored. And my son was playing youth hockey at the time, and one of the other fathers spliced together. My son happened to a week later score in a shootout to help his team win a game. And so he used my voice and put the call over my son's goal.
That's bold.
Yeah, because I didn't in the call say Giroux. I said, he's got a million moves. Which one will he use here? He goes in, he shoots these guys. So it was, to my son's. And it was pretty neat because he got mobbed by the team afterwards. So it fit. He made it fit, and it was great. But G supplied a lot of great moments. So unfortunately, after 2010, not so many in the playoffs. He did have the double hat trick with Couturier in 2012. That was another great moment. Yeah, that was another great one. I mean, you think about it, he was a teenager, Coots at the time, and G was just early 20s, maybe
24, I believe, at that point.
24, yeah. So, double hat trick against your hated rivals. So we need to get back to having those fun playoff moments.
I think it's coming soon. I do. One more that comes to mind. This was also in 2012. You were calling a shootout. I believe it was against Toronto, and Giroux was coming up with a shot, and he pulls this sick move back. I mean, pulls the puck back and just flicks it over the goaltender. And you just go, sick move from Claude Giroux. Who says he's got wrist problems? Wow, that one was another one I really loved too.
Yeah, he had some wrist issues there. It never showed up in the shootouts, that's for sure. But it's funny. I'm not a minimalist by any stretch. I probably talk way too much for my own liking. It's probably why the Bush save on Jokinen to win that shootout in 2010 is my personally favorite call, because I actually pulled off a Pat Summerall for once. You guys might never know who Pat Summerall is, but he was a great football
legendary NFL broadcaster.
Yeah, and he didn't say much. He used as few words as possible, but he was awesome. And I don't do that enough. But in a shootout situation, you can kind of plan for it. And so I did. Jokinen in, with speed or whatever. Remember, he started way back in the Rangers zone, skated all the way up to the puck, and with speed, and the deke, the save, and the Flyers go to the playoffs. I mean, it was not one that I do very often, so I like that call. I was so happy Primo in 2000 gave me a great goal, so it wasn't one of these shot deflection score, is it in? Not one of those. It was
he ripped it.
He beat him clean, yeah. So that was great. But favorite calls are tough because one what you guys might like. Technically, I coach broadcasters now too, so technically I might not think it's that good. I might be screaming. I might go off, the charts and all that. So there's a lot. There's two other great moments that I had that were not really typical. They weren't playoffs. They weren't regular season even. One was the alumni game around the 2012 Winter Classic. I got to call it for NBC, and it was like a "This Is Your Life" Jim Jackson. It was obviously Citizens Bank Park. I was working for the Phillies at the time and the Flyers, so it's at one of my places of work. The old time Flyers. I had written a book back in 2004 about the Broad Street Bullies and their lives since the championships. So many of them were in the game. Bernie Perron, of course, had the save on Ron Duguay and that whole thing. Obviously, the Lindros era Flyers were all out there too. LeClaire and Desjardins, some of those guys. And then the Rangers, who I told you I grew up a Rangers fan, Duguay and Greshner and some of those guys were there. Guys I watched in college or even before as a fan. And they're all on the ice, It's like it was so weird. I was ice level with Kevin Weeks calling that game. And the only problem we had was Kevin Collins was the linesman. He's a big dude, and we were ice level. He was in our way a lot of the time.
Gotta go side to side.
But it was a great moment. And then the other one was a preseason game in 2001 when President Bush was on the screen addressing Congress after 9/11, and they put it on after the second period on the Jumbotron, and the fans are all watching, and the speech went longer than the intermission, and they briefly cut the speech off, and all the fans booed as the players were around skating, right, getting ready for the third period. So they put it back up, and so all the players kind of just came to a stop. And I remember this picture of Mark Recchi and Brian Boucher kind of leaning on the goalpost together, looking up at the screen. And the speech went on. The fans were cheering with, the president's words, and we're going to get these people and all that. And then his speech ended, and they just called the game off. They had the two teams shake hands at center ice.
Oh,
all these people from all over the world shaking hands, and they all went off to it was a tie game. They let it end as a tie. That was special. That was back when we had patriotism. We've kind of lost that. But it was a unified country. Probably the last time we'll ever be a unified country. But it was a moment I'll never forget. Doesn't have much to do with hockey really, as much as it did the tenor of the times. But it was something I'll never forget.
That's special. I actually never knew any of that. Wow, that's actually incredible. Just thinking about that, looking back, how crazy times were compared to now, especially.
Well, they're crazy now too. But
but you're not wrong there either. Eric, do you have another question to add?
Actually, I wanted to ask a question about Owen Tippett. But the truth, because talking about this upcoming season, I think he's one of the players that he majorly regressed last year. Like I was expecting him to at least maybe hit the 30 mark, and he only ended up with 20 goals. And like he took 100 less shots last year, and even there was a stat where he actually missed the net more than he actually hit it this last year. I was just wondering, like, because you're around the team all the time, and like you watch them up close. Is there something maybe that you noticed in Owen Tippett? Was he trying to change his game, or what was maybe wrong in your opinion with Owen Tippett last year?
Yeah, if I had the answer to that, I wouldn't be here with you guys right now. I'd be part of the coaching staff. I mean, I think he presses a little, maybe. I do think he was affected by the Farabee Frost trade, so he had a bit of a dip. They're big buddy, really close, especially Morgan, close buddies of his, and it affected him. He even said so afterwards. But more than that, I just don't think they found a fit for him. He did have some remarkably good passes last year, which I didn't even think was part of his repertoire. He set up some guys for tap-ins. This year will be very interesting for him. He's got to stay healthy, obviously, and where he ends up in this mix with this very talented top nine will be very. I mean, let's face it, the end of the last year, we already talked about Kate's Forster and Brink and Couturier, Michkov and Konechny were a really good line at the end of last year too. If those two lines stay together, now you're looking at Zegras, Tippett, Bump, or am I forgetting somebody else? But Dvorak might fit in there or what have you. But there's a chance he's going to be with a really talented player. Most likely he is going to be with a very talented player, whether it's Zegras or it's Luchenko or it's whomever, Bump. So we'll see. Tip he creates his own offense. He doesn't need necessarily a facilitator as a center. I think probably even more, and this is completely just me talking way above my pay grade, but maybe he needs more than anything is a responsibly defensive, I guess would be the way to say it, center, which Luchenko is, because he's going. He's a go. He's north-south, but he's go, right? If he knows he can go and doesn't have to worry too much about the defensive side, that might help him. And then if you get just a guy who clears space on the other wing, which Bump could be that, maybe that works. So you got to find the right chemistry, and he's got to stay healthy. He has ridiculous amount of talent, and it's to me a matter of time before he gets 30 goals. I said before the season 2 years ago, 40 is certainly not out of the question. If the Flyers ever figure out their power play, all these numbers we're talking about with Konechny, Michkov, Tippett, Forster, the defenseman, whoever's going to run it, whether it's Drysdale or maybe York this year, whoever, all their numbers are going to go up in a big way because they've gotten nothing from their power play for 4 years running. I mean, last, and last year up to 30th. That's their power play over the last 4 years. They are not getting offense from their power play. It's gonna give each guy 2, 3, 4 more goals a year, maybe more in some cases. So if they get that power play to mediocre, like just up to 18th or 20th, you're going to see a lot of these numbers really increase for these players in terms of points and goals. And we wouldn't be talking necessarily if Tippett scored 25 or 26 last year. We wouldn't be talking about him being that bad. We would have said, hey, still short of 30. We still want him at 30. But we wouldn't be saying, hey, he regressed in a big way or anything. So that's a big part of it, too, the power play. And where does Tip fit in on the power play? He's got unique skill set. He can create some of the most ridiculous goals you've ever seen, like that backhander against Dallas and the one in St. Louis a couple of years ago. He had a couple of beauties last year, too. So, he can create that. So he's got a lot of talent, but how do you make all that fit into a working line and a working power play?
That one he had against Seattle last year was disgusting, too. I remember that one towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
And he's got, he's got a whole new coaching staff. So we're going to probably see some different things on the power play, which I think we need to see some different things on the power play, quite frankly. And maybe it fits for him. And, if he scores 10 or 12 goals on the power play, he's going to get close to 30. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I was just going to chime in with something. I'm going to change my mind. I want to stay on Tippett because, I was going to ask you about who do you think will be the most improved player this year. And, Tippett is probably as good a candidate as anybody. But one of my frustrations with this player is he probably has the best frame for like a power forward, even though it's not his game. But if he could,
no, I disagree with that.
I think he would use his body more.
To the net with force.
But I'm talking about
your idea of a power forward is, Rick Tocchet and fighting and stuff. That's not Tip. But he does not play a soft game at all, Owen Tippett.
He goes to the net. But if he's not he'll drive to the net, but he's not stationary in front of the net. But
I don't think with his speed, you want him just standing around in front of the net. He's one of the fastest players in the league.
That is true.
That's true.
For his size, he is one of maybe the best players. He's a big human who can really move. So I don't know if you want to limit him to net front. Maybe on the power play, but you want him skating and using that skating ability too. So they worked with him. Torts, John Tortorella, he's gone, but he's left his imprint on this team in a lot of ways. And one of them was he got Tip 2 years ago to start driving the net, and he drives the net. I mean, he doesn't score some of these beautiful goals we're talking about without having courage to drive through an area where he could get really walloped. So in my mind, that makes him a power forward. A power forward 20 years ago would have been a guy who drops the gloves a lot too. You know, Tom Wilson. There's not many of those left. But I would say that Tip still qualifies as a power forward. Tip's failing is consistency. There are games where he's the best player on the ice, and then there's games where I'm not 100% sure, he's playing. So, he's got to try to level that off somehow. And no one's more conscientious than Tip. He's a superhuman being and a really, coachable guy. So I'm hoping the new coaching staff can, find a new realm. And Torts helped him in one way. Now maybe this coaching staff can help him in another.
Agreed.
Can I get a question?
Go right ahead, Rick.
JJ,
what Canadian do you want to talk about?
No, not a Canadian, but I just referred. We have Demidov, as we talked before we came on.
Yes.
I'm curious for you this year. What do you expect from Michkov? And if you could give us a prediction, what you think he's going to get for points.
I don't get too much into those.
Okay, that's fair.
I did so with Tip 40 goals 2 years ago, and look what's happened. So I feel bad. I feel like I jinxed it.
I get that all the time.
But Michkov, I mean, there's two things at work that could be different than last year. Not that last year was bad. Last year was great. But one is the power play. Again, if the power play is successful, his numbers are going to skyrocket. He is a power play. He should be a dynamo on the power play.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping they maybe run things a little bit more through him on the power play. We'll see if that's part of the equation this year. And then the second thing is, hopefully he's not going to get scratched. Hopefully he's not going to be sat for periods at a time this year. Now, it could happen again. If he's flying the zone when he shouldn't be doing that, Talk's going to have the ultimate hammer for a coach's ice time. But I don't think it'll be quite as volatile as it was under Torts. So I think he'll feel freer that way. Now, that could be good. It could lead to some other issues because if he gets too free, he will be flying the zone and not playing. I don't expect him to play necessarily a 200-foot game, but at least be somewhat responsible defensively. It's not effort with Meach. There were some great back checks by Michkov last year. It wasn't like he wasn't trying, but he really wants to score. That's what his game's all about. So sometimes he gets a little impatient and he takes off a little too early for the other zone. So if they can master that and yet still keep him in a mindset where he's feeling like he's, an offensive weapon, and then, that'll be great. Now, he's going to fly the zone on occasion. Connor McDavid has made a career of flying the zone. So now Connor McDavid has the speed to make it impossible to stop him when he flies the zone and gets the puck. Michkov doesn't have that speed. Michkov kind of needs to fly the zone to make up for the fact that he's an average skater a little bit. But you can't do that at the expense of, giving up a 2-on-1 down low in your own zone or whatever. So it'll be interesting if he is able to master that part of it and satisfy Rick Tocchet and the coaching staff that he's doing what he has to do, his due diligence, if you will, defensively. And that doesn't mean being a Selke Trophy winner. That doesn't mean going down low in the zone all the time. Just not leaving your team in a bad spot. Mm-hmm. He's going to play more games. He's not going to get scratched if he's healthy. And he's not going to get benched during periods because he'll be getting a regular shift. He'll be playing a lot of minutes. And the other thing with Meach is that I hope that he's in really good shape. It's not that he was out of shape last year, but late in shifts, you notice not the same energy level, and also in back-to-back situations, back-to-back games, back-to-back nights. The second game, though, you wouldn't notice him as much in some of those second games. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking he had to learn, you got to be really, really top-notch. I mean, this is all relative. These guys are all in better shape than any of us on this panel. Big shot, but to be in hockey shape, you have to be in elite shape. Yeah. And hopefully I know the Flyers wanted him to concentrate on it in the off season, and that will lead to longer shifts that are more productive, that'll lead to him being better in those busy parts of the schedule. And they have a slew of them this year with the compressed schedule due to the Olympics. So that will improve his play as well. So it's a lot of areas he can improve. The biggest one's the power play. But outside of that, there's all these other things that would lead me to believe he will surpass last year. Again, has to stay healthy. That's always the caveat. But I think he's got a chance to do some serious damage. He is one of those guys. People ask me what makes him special. To me, there's many things: his determination, his hands, but it's his vision. His vision is ridiculous to the point where we call the games, you guys probably know, from way upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So the game from where we are can sometimes look pretty easy because we see the whole ice. We see where everybody is. And it slows the game down for us. Meach is, maybe outside of Giroux, the first Flyer in my 3.5 decades who sees the ice like he's watching it from where we are. And in fact, he's maybe the first. Giroux did it sometimes too, but Meach does it maybe even more, where he makes plays where Bush and I, or Hartsey and I, whoever's doing the game with me, we'll look at it and say, how did he see that? Because we didn't even see it where we are. There's that kind of imagination and vision. It's elite. It's right at the top of the game. So that, I think, just will lead him to be a very productive player. But all those other things will contribute to how productive he is.
I'm looking forward to Michkov's sophomore year, especially just to see what kind of step he takes. As you mentioned, his hockey IQ too is just mesmerizing. He sees a play, I feel like, before it even develops, as you mentioned.
He absolutely does. He sees plays where he feels a player should be. And his teammates, that process was still ongoing late in the year, where they're trying to catch up to Meach in terms of his vision. Zegras, a lot of people are talking about Zegras and Meach on the same line. Could be dangerous defensively, but the Zegras also has that vision, that hockey IQ, as far as seeing plays and being able to. I mean, who else tries a lacrosse pass besides Trevor Zegras? So I mean, he will try. Those two together could create some wow moments, but neither are guys who are completely well-rounded defensively yet either. So they, you might want to have a really defensive-minded winger on the other side, or whatever. But we'll see. There's some really intriguing possibilities in terms of combinations. I wouldn't have a problem if it was Couturier connecting and Michkov all over again, because they were very good at the end of last year. But there are a lot of other possible combinations that could be great too. And most improved player, Cam York, is certainly a guy who could also be up there with Tippett. Sean Couturier was already improved last year after the coaching change, and I anticipate him being in a really good frame of mind this year. And I talked to him yesterday. I mean, he's ready to go. He wants. He's done with the losing, as he's told other people this offseason. So those are three guys I think that jump out to me as guys that could be most improved over last year.
For sure. One last question I personally want to ask. So obviously, one of the big things Danny Briere was emphasizing going into the offseason was the acquisition of finding a center. Just to play with some of the big name wingers that they have, Konechny, Michkov, Forster, Tippett, etc. They added Trevor Zegras, and we were all ecstatic when it happened. What was your first take when they added Trevor Zegras? Do you think he's going to be a really good fit with this team?
My first take is excitement, because I know I'm going to have some highlight calls, right? He's going to create some craziness. But when you settle back, it really comes down to last year. Trevor made some serious strides with his overall game at the expense of his offense, unfortunately. But Greg Cronin, they worked him very hard in Anaheim on that. And he's going to need to keep that up, but also rediscover his mojo offensively. Everyone talks about the Flyers lacking the frontline skill. I think that's bogus now. I mean, I really do. You mentioned some of the skill they have up front. Now, they don't have maybe that number one defenseman, right? That guy who can do everything. I mean, Sanheim and York actually, as a pair, were, and this isn't a year where Cam probably wasn't that he would tell you his best. They were one of the top D pairs in terms of expected goals last year.
Yeah.
So they may be a number one pair, but neither of them are that dynamic. Although Cam York deserves a chance on the power play before we rule him out in this, but neither of them are necessarily the Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar, that kind of defense. So maybe they're lacking that on this team, but upfront talent, most of it's on the wings. I give you that. I mean, they have solid, capable centers in Noah Cates and Sean Couturier, maybe Jet Lachenko to that mix. If Zegras plays center, you do have a flamboyant center there. But I mean, but on the wing, they have all kinds of talent. So to add Zegras, and now Michkov's a year older and getting better, and TK's a legitimate all-star now. Tippett's got all that talent. Forster's a burgeoning star. Bobby Brink has shown some great things. You have talent. I don't think we can use that excuse anymore. I really don't. And in fact, I would say the biggest reason the Flyers didn't make the playoffs the last 2 years is the guy between the pipes. And not one guy, it's just the guys between the pipes. It was, excuse me, I can make it over here. But it was basically a situation where 2 years ago, Carter Hart left the team, and they also traded a top defenseman in Sean Walker, and it all kind of went south. And last year, they had, I think I told you, it was the same percentage in the 870s. It's very hard to win with that. I'm a Sam Harrison guy. I do think Sam is an NHL goalie, number one goalie, I hope. He hasn't shown that he can do it a whole season yet, and maybe Vladar will help him and elevate him. And as a tandem, they'll be a good pair. They don't need to be the top goaltending tandem in the league to get the Flyers in the playoffs. I just think they need to be competent goaltenders. I think with competent goaltending, the Flyers are in the playoffs for sure 2 years ago. I mean, they almost made the playoffs as it was. And last year, they're at least contending for a playoff spot down to the end. So they need to get that fixed. I think the mantra about lacking the star talent is just not true anymore. I think there's a lot of talent on this team and more coming, which is the exciting part. So we'll see. If you have a power play near the bottom, you're going to get that moniker again. They're going to say, they just don't have the talent to put a good power play together. But I got to think with all the tools they have now that there's enough there to put together at least a decent power play. And if they get that, they'll score more goals, a little less pressure on the goalies. As I said, competent goaltending, the Flyers can be in the playoffs.
Giving us hope, JJ. You're giving us hope. And that's what the offseason's about.
Dash that hope. I've said they should be in the playoffs each of the last 2 seasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And right back down.
I'm not to be trusted is what I'm saying. I'm not saying this. I know there'll be some people out there. Oh, he's a shill for the team, and he's just saying that because he has to push tickets and all that. That's not why I'm saying it. I truly believe they would have. I'm certain they would have been in the playoffs 2 years ago. They went to the last year.
Oh yeah.
And last year, 879, depending on how you keep your save percentage with left goals or not. It was 879 or 873. That's really hard to overcome. So
it was historically bad. Like
it was.
No one's winning with that.
Right. So if they can get that fixed, in addition to the power play, and big ifs because they have been able to get those fixed over the last 2 or 3 years, but new coaching staff. So we'll see. This team absolutely has enough talent. I just don't think it's this lack of top end talent, which I keep reading about. I look at some of the other teams in the playoffs, and it's like, I mean, top end talent through the top 6. Not many teams have top end talent through 9 or 12. There's a couple. Colorado for a while did. Florida's got a great top 9. Maybe Tampa, but not even really Tampa anymore. They're through 9.
Yeah, they've lost it for sure.
Yeah, so I mean Dallas maybe is a team, but there's not many that are like stocked through 3 lines. It's hard to do in a salary cap.
Yeah.
So the Flyers to me have really 9 to 10 really talented forwards now. If some rookies come through like Bump and Lachenko, that number may go up. And so I don't think that's the problem anymore. It's at the other end. They might need one more elite defenseman, easier said than done. And they need competent goaltending.
And they got to get stronger down the middle.
Well, there's no question. Yeah. They're working on that.
Yeah, they are.
If Lachenko catches, and Zegras plays center, they suddenly don't have enough spots for all their centers. I don't, both of those happening would be a great training camp. But I mean, if one of those happens, now you're looking at Couturier. Let's say it's Zegras. So Couturier, Zegras, Cates, and Dvorak. That's not bad. No longer.
That's not bad. You're better. You're better.
And then, if Luchenko hits, maybe Zegras goes to the wing.
Maybe Cates even goes to the wing too.
Yeah, I think Cates
I
goes to the
don't
wing.
think that's going to happen. He
Really?
is elite cut-down defenseman now.
Yeah.
Center.
Cates could play with Zegras maybe, and he could take the face-offs, and he would be a good defensive complement with Michkov, I think.
That's possible. I just think that Case Forrester Brink line has to play itself out. They were so good. Again, I'm not a huge analytics guy, but the expected goals numbers show you that line in the top of the NHL, like the top percentile. They were in the offensive zone a lot. Now, they didn't finish enough, so you might say, okay, maybe we have to slide it. But, I mean, Tyson Forster should be a great finisher. And Brink should be able to finish his share of goals. Noah Cates might not be a finisher, but he can facilitate with a lot of players. He's a great facilitator. And he does have a lot of skill. He's not a plumber. If you check out some of his college highlights, he's got some unbelievable college goals. He's got that in him, but he's so responsible defensively and so good. He's good on the forecheck too. That's the one thing about him. Maybe going back to the wing where he can forecheck along the wall a little more. But I mean, Cates could move. I don't want to poo-poo that completely, but I do know they really like what they saw from him last year. They liked what they saw from that line last year. So moving him out might be difficult, but that's another possibility, I suppose. But if you're, Zegras, Luchenko, Couturier, Dvorak, that could be your four if it's not Luchenko instead of Zegras. Either way, I think that's improvement over last year, and then the wings alone. So, yeah.
All right. Does anyone have any final questions before we wrap things up?
Rick, any more Montreal questions?
No, nothing. I'm good.
Seriously, Rick, the producer, is a Montreal fan. They told me that, right? The audience knows that. I assume you guys joke with him about it.
Yeah, sure. We bust
I have
all the time.
I have a channel. I have a Habs channel too.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. And I think they are one of the up-and-coming teams. I do think, though, when you make the playoffs a little ahead of schedule, that next year is really difficult. The expectations in Montreal are off the charts.
Yep.
Like they got Demidov with 100 points this year. I mean,
that's ridiculous. I'm not 100-point guy.
I think he'll have a tough time duplicating what he did last year.
I think he'll finish around where Michkov. I think a little bit more than Michkov got last year, but I mean, I don't think
he's got those high expectations too. So we'll see.
No, but I'm not 100 points. I'm not 100 points.
Top line. Not gonna be on the top line, right? They're not gonna mess.
No.
Line.
Second line. Second line winger.
Second line
winger, first power play, right?
Yeah, I would expect first power play.
So who comes off the power play?
I actually think it's gonna be Line.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a problem.
No, I think he might do just as well on that second unit. I think it's gonna be like.
I'm not talking about. I know Patrick's gonna become a problem.
Oh, well, let's hope not. I mean,
he wants to be on
right now. His attitude right now is good, and St. Louis had a lot to do with that. They apparently great talk, and we'll see. We'll see.
Everybody's attitude is good in September, but they're loaded. Don't get me wrong, Rick. They are loaded. They are exciting. They should be a fun team. Montembeau has not proven to me that he can take a team to any kind of run, but I think he's quality goalie, but I don't know. I think we kind of jumped him up a little bit last year over where he is now. He might be a little bit overrated as opposed to being underrated before.
I think he's underrated, but that's okay.
He was. He certainly isn't anymore. They're all talking about him as the
true.
If it wasn't Binnington, he would have taken Canada to the. We'll see, but I mean, I think he's a good goalie. I don't know if he's a great goalie. So we'll see. I mean,
I agree with that.
Lane Hudson was so good. I don't know how he can do that again. He might. He's really good, but he's also. They're going to target him. They're going to start to target the guy. They have to. He's tiny and he's a defenseman. So I mean, Quinn Hughes is shown you can still be tiny and be targeted and still be elite, and maybe Hudson can do that.
Yeah.
But they set a really high bar, is all I'm saying. And that's tough when a team is their rebuild is really in its formative stages still, because you look at the ages of the players, and
It's almost over.
What's almost over?
The rebuild, Montreal's rebuild is almost over.
Well, rebuild isn't over until you win the cup, right?
Well, that's why. Yeah, okay, I'll agree.
So he's right. Guys, he is proving my point, right?
No, wait. I'm not saying that on the ice. I'm not saying right now on the ice the rebuild's over, but the pieces are there. They have some development yet, and maybe one more piece to acquire, that second line center, if he's not in the system already. So I think we're close. But yeah, we still have a few years. I'm not saying we're going to win.
They're all young, though. They're all 21, 22, 23 years old.
Well, Nick Suzuki's 25. When he hits 28, that's about when they should.
No, you're talking 3 years down the road. That's a whole different story.
No, that's what I'm saying.
In Montreal, the fans right now are not talking 3 years down the road.
Yeah, but I've been doing this for 7 years. I've been doing this for 7 years now. I grew out of that crazy expectation fandom. I've learned a little bit. So yeah.
It's tough. I mean, they will have tremendous pressure on them this year. It was easy last year from that standpoint. They were a big surprise. In fact, St. Louis was this close to being fired in the early part of the season, which would have been a huge mistake. But those rumors were too strong. There was too much smoke there not to be some fires. So, they got through that and then just took off. We'll see now. They're not sneaking up on anybody this year. And that division is tough.
Yep.
That's loaded.
I mean,
that's the best division.
A loaded division.
Yep.
Well, the Central's pretty good too, but it's loaded. I mean, the Metro is weird. I don't even know where it's going to go. Like I sit here and tell you guys the Flyers should make the playoffs, but I don't know if I can sit here and tell you like how many teams are in each conference. 15. So 7 teams don't make the playoffs in each conference. Is that how it works?
Yeah, 8.
Well, 8 are in.
8 are in, 8 are out. 16.
Oh yeah, 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 8 teams. How can I come up with? Can I come up with 8 teams in the Metro that should miss? I mean, if you expect the Rangers to miss again, I don't know. Mike Sullivan's a hell of a coach. I really think they may bounce back. Carolina looks better. New Jersey, if it's a big if, Jack Hughes stays healthy, but if they stay healthier, they should be in. Washington, are they going to fall right back? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Know as if they will. Columbus is on the rise.
Yeah.
The Islanders did a retool in 2 months. I mean, they suddenly have some young energy on that team and great goaltending. So they're not a pushover. Pittsburgh, okay. I'll give you the
Yeah, I think we can all agree who's heading last.
Any of those other teams can make the playoffs. So, including, I think, the Flyers. So that shows you how tough it is. We can sit here and say, the Flyers are going to make the playoffs, but then you get down to crunching the numbers, and it's not going to be easy. And the Atlantic, is Ottawa going to fall back? I mean,
probably not.
Will Boston stay down? Maybe.
Yes. This year. Come on.
Yeah. Well, Swayman's not going to play as poorly as he did last year. I'll tell you that right now. I know Swayman. He's going to bounce back. And so, McAvoy, they have that team's interesting. I don't know as if they went for the right coach. We'll see. I mean, I don't know much about him as a coach. But it wouldn't shock me if Boston became a wild card. It wouldn't shock me. I don't expect it, but I wouldn't be shocked.
I gotta say, I'd be shocked.
So who are the? Let's say there's got to be at least 3 teams out of the playoffs in the Atlantic. If 5 make it, and you say 3 make it from the Metro. So who are the 3 that the Canadians beat out?
Buffalo,
Detroit,
and Boston are out.
Detroit.
No, Detroit's a mess.
I can't believe in Detroit anymore.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, none of us can believe in Buffalo or Detroit anymore. But I would like to say one of these years they're going to get it.
Yeah.
Buffalo especially has the team.
Yeah. They've got a team.
I don't know if Lindy can do it, but
they need to get rid of the owner. It's the owner's the big problem. If they would have an owner and put in proper hockey people at the top, I think they would, because the team looks like that should be a good team.
There's a team that needs John Tortorella right
hard for
there.
me to really
Yeah.
criticize Terry Pegula. He's put together a pretty good football team with pretty good leadership.
You think
How is that Terry Pegula's fault? He went for GM.
because he sticks he's an owner that wants to decide what's going on. I think that's a mistake. You put in a hockey guy.
Yeah, do you do a whole lot of reading in Buffalo? Terry Pegula? He's not a get his nose in there.
That's
owner.
everything we read.
Terry Pegula? No, I think
Is that his name? I don't know.
He's watching his daughter play tennis. He's watching the Bills. I don't know. He's I don't know. Buffalo's situation is, you're right in that he didn't pick good GMs. I mean, but one of those GMs is a GM again, right? Botterill. So I mean, maybe he wasn't as bad as we thought. I don't know. The current GM
wrong there, though.
made some strange moves.
Adams has definitely made some head scratchers, especially with
we got Yarmo
too.
Yarmo's in the wings.
He is. Yarmo's waiting. But I mean, Yarmo didn't exactly build a winner either.
No, he's a good drafter, but I don't know if he's a good GM.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of his picks will be part of Columbus's success down the road, but and they had a lot of tragedy and stuff. So I can't say it was all Yarmo's fault, but we'll see. We'll see on maybe those three, maybe there's 4 out of the Atlantic, and then you got to come up with another team, or 4 out of the Metro, and you got to come up with another team in the Atlantic. It's going to be fascinating. It's going to be competitive. I just think when teams are in rebuilds, like if the Flyers had made the playoffs 2 years ago, they would have had tremendous pressure last year, and it would have been hard to live up to. I think the Canadians in a even more, I know for those who live in Philly might find this hard to believe, but Montreal is a more feverish market for hockey. I mean, every move of these guys is dissected. It'll be interesting to see if they can live up to that pressure. If they do, the rebuild is over, like you say, Rick. It's over. They're on their way.
There's no doubt. There's a lot of pressure here.
They're on their way.
All right, everyone. With that being said, we are going to wrap things up. As always, Jim, thank you so much for coming here and just chatting hockey with us and telling us about incredible experiences. It's been an absolute blast having you.
A lot of fun.
Love to have you again. Look forward to hearing you as the voice of the Philadelphia Flyers when the season begins over these next couple weeks, once preseason starts, and then eventually their first game in Florida. So that's going to be a blast. We're looking forward to it.
Nice, easy schedule the Flyers have.
Oh, I know, right? At Florida,
it's a breeze.
Winnipeg's in there, right? President's Trophy team's in there. The champions.
Dallas.
Yeah, it's fun.
Minnesota, their first 5 games, it's like, why are you throwing them right to Murderer's Row? I think the schedule make us look at it and say, oh, they're complaining about going out west to start the year. Okay, we'll keep them out east. We'll just make sure they'll remember why we kept them out east.
Yeah, defending Cup champs twice, the President's Trophy team, and is it Carolina the other game? Their first 4.
I think Carolina's in there.
Twice against Florida, Carolina, Dallas, and Minnesota. Their first 5.
Oh, I thought Winnipeg was in there. Where did I get that?
Winnipeg. Maybe it is Winnipeg. Maybe it's not
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
It was the President's Trophy. They won the President's Trophy. Winnipeg, right?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I had the schedule right here, so we'll end.
I know I got the first 3 right, and then Dallas, Minnesota, and Winnipeg. 2 of those 3 are mixed in. I might be blanking on one, but
it's at Florida, at Carolina versus Florida versus Winnipeg.
Okay, all right. So maybe it wasn't Dallas.
That's the defending Cup champs twice. The team many people are favoring to at least win the Metro, if not the East this year in Carolina, and then the defending President's Trophy team, Winnipeg. Then it eases though. They get Minnesota, Seattle, and at Ottawa. So, but those first 4, you don't want to start over.
Tough start, man.
Yeah.
No,
so
it'll
be maybe you get them early when they aren't revved up yet. Like
I will say,
he'll be in Stanley Cup hangover.
The Flyers back in 2014 did start 1-7-1 and 4-10-1 and found themselves into the playoffs. So crazy things have happened. They have
well, for a long stretch there in that era, they got off to bad starts every year.
Yeah,
they don't want that with a new coach. You don't want that this year. So
you
can sneak 3 or 4 points out of those first 4 games, and then
you could get the new coach bump.
Then they go, new coach bumps usually in season.
I know, but you never know. It could happen.
Yeah, well, no, if they get the positive vibes, right to start the year, it can absolutely take off. But I mean, they've got like we said, those 3 after the top first 4 are all winnable games. So we'll see what happens. But it'll be a fun season. Great talk with you guys, and it'll be interesting to see where this all goes.
Thanks for giving
All
us
right,
so
everyone.
much.
With that being
Thanks,
said,
JJ.
It was a pleasure.
Take care, guys. See you around.
Absolute pleasure, JJ. Appreciate having you on the show. As always, let's go Flyers. Take care. And everyone, we will see you next time.
Ciao, everybody.
Ciao.